The Rita Cosby Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Breaking news.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, President Trump saying just a few moments ago that indeed the Memorandum of Understanding, the pathway to peace, as he calls it, is now signed. And it's signed by him. He signed it electronically. He was at a dinner at beautiful Versailles Palace in France, and President Trump signed it electronically, surprising everybody because he made it sound like it was going to happen on Friday. And he said, nope, I will personally sign it. I'm not going to necessarily send JD to do the signing, anybody to do the signing other than myself. And it was after he spent the day explaining the details of this deal. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. There's a lot of questions that I have about this deal. I trust in Trump. He has done more to basically bring Iran to its knees than any other president in American history. And I absolutely commend him on that. I do have questions about Iran getting access to funds, not U.S. dollars, as President Trump describes, but I am concerned about them getting access to funds. Because money is fungible. They can say, oh, yeah, we're going to use it for roads and bridges and power plants. And then who knows where they're going to use it. Because I do not trust Iran. The good news is President Trump has said that if they don't behave, quote, we're going to bomb them back into kingdom come. And the bombing will continue. And I think President Trump is well aware that Iran does not have a good track record. And he's keeping the U.S. military in the area, ready, locked and loaded. And clearly, the minute they do a violation, the question is, what constitutes it? How big of a violation? President Trump will not want to be embarrassed, and he will go in and pound them again. And I believe that's going to happen soon, because I do not trust Iran. Even after all this stuff, remember after the word that the deal was on the table, they already were sending drones after commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz. You cannot trust the Iranian people in any shape or form. And so to me, it's pretty clear that President Trump knows he has to keep the U.S. military in theater, knows that Pete Hegseth has to be standing by at the ready, and that he is prepared to use military once again. And so there's a good news. There's a silver lining out there. I know there are a lot of critics tonight, and I want to hear from all of you, because some of the criticism I understand. Some of it, I think, obviously, there's a lot from the Democratic side that will never give Trump credit. But there is some from the GOP side, and we're going to talk about that tonight as well. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show. Well, President Trump today said earlier, before the news came out that he had signed it, he said he was kind of joking around with Peter Doocy. And Peter Doocy said, well, you know, some people are saying that maybe the reason that, you know, you're sending JD Vance there to sign it versus you signing it and you actually going to the signing ceremony is because, you know, maybe if you're not happy with it, then JD can take the fall. And then if it's good, you'll be happy. And President Trump even joked about it. And to President Trump's credit, he came out and said, yeah, maybe that is the case. He was very funny. And this is a light moment today after a lot of heavy talk.
This way, if it works out, I'm going to take the credit. If it doesn't work out, I'm blaming JD. You better be careful, JD. He's going to turn his plane around and get the hell out of here. Yeah, I like that idea. I think it's a good idea.
I thought that was very funny. He was like, all right, you know, if it doesn't work out, it's JD's fault. But clearly, this is a very serious matter and probably one of the biggest moments, I think, for President Trump's presidency. Going into Iran, I think, was such a strategic moment. Going after Maduro was a strategic moment. He's had a lot. Closing the border was an absolutely strategic moment. There's a lot, I think, that is extremely commendable of what this president has done. It's shown more courage, more guts than I have seen. Yet, a lot of people are going to be watching where this goes from here and what will Iran do or what will they not do? What kind of games will Iran play? I have trust, again, in the president of the United States, this president, but Iran will continue, I believe, to misbehave. And then the question is what comes next. Well, here is President Trump on what he says could come next if Iran doesn't adhere to what they are saying they'll do. And I feel like, anything they put on paper, it's meaningless unless they back it up with actions. And I'm very leery of Iran's actions. But take a listen to what President Trump said.
It's not final. It's a memorandum of understanding. And if I don't like it, we'll go back to shooting at them, dropping bombs on their head. If I don't like it, if they don't behave, we'll go right back to dropping bombs right smack in the middle of their head.
Smack in the middle of their head. That's pretty precise, Edie.
Yeah, he's not mincing words. He was a little spicy this morning. He used some very colorful language, too. The president says that this deal couldn't have been made by anybody else. He bashed former President Barack Obama after his administration arranged a settlement.
And that was some newscasters commenting on what was going on with President Trump. And you heard what he said. If they don't like it, and if indeed Iran does not behave, we'll go right back to smacking them in the middle of their head. And indeed, President Trump means it. He's already done that. So I do like that aspect that he is saying we are not leaving the region. We are standing by. But here's the big issue, and it's the money issue. And this thing I do have a problem with because President Trump is saying it's not going to be U.S. dollars. He's saying it's going to be, there will be people who want to invest in the new Iran and build it up. And peace and prosperity is always a good thing. But not when you're dealing with a rogue regime. That's the problem. And on one hand, obviously, they have to get something for them to come to the table. But maybe we should have done the other 20% of the targets that needed to be bombed and really bomb them into submission. I'm hardcore, guys. I believe Iran, a lot of parts of Iran, and it's hard to do this because you obviously don't want to have civilian deaths. And I applaud President Trump on the way he has handled this. No boots on the ground. That's amazing. But I think there needed to be a little more rubble in Iran, especially around the IRGC headquarters and anything tied to IRGC. And I actually don't think that the supreme leader who's there now, the son of the supreme leader, I don't think he should be on this earth. So that's where I come from. And I want to hear from you guys tonight. Here is President Trump talking about the investment because he says it's not an investment and it's only going to be used. This is the Arab fund. This is not U.S. dollars, and that is important. But he says those in the region, they wanted to see an end to this, and they are apparently going to be investing. It is in the memorandum. So at the end of the day, it is there. That's clear. This is the Trump memorandum, and it's in there. The $300 billion Arab investment fund that they're pledging to help rebuild Iran. And that's like bridges against schools, hospitals, things like that. Well, that sounds great, but I don't trust that Iran would not maybe use maybe 1/1000th of it for a school, and then the rest of it goes to their nuclear program or their ballistic missiles program or a whole bunch more. And that's why I am deeply concerned tonight. So take a listen. Here's President Trump.
As the MOU that's been reported, it includes...
Have I read it?
Well, it's been reported that it includes a $300 billion reconstruction fund funded by Gulf allies. That's false?
It's false. People, you can invest if you want. I mean, what am I going to do, say nobody's ever allowed to invest? No, we're not investing. We're not putting up 10 cents. And people can decide to do that, but that's up to them. I mean, do you want me to say nobody's ever allowed to invest in a country? I'll say it with Egypt. Nobody's allowed to invest in Egypt. Am I supposed to say that?
I'm asking whether...
We are not investing in it, and we do not have a fund.
Are you asking Gulf countries?
No, I'm not. I'm not. If they do it, fine. But I would say they won't be doing it for a while until they find out the behavior. It's a behavior thing. But we are not investing. That's a false story that got picked up incorrectly from a statement that was pretty well made, I think, maybe a little bit... could have been a little more accurate, frankly. But it's a story. We are not investing 10 cents. Don't forget, there's never been anybody that's been so tough on Iran. This should have been done by Clinton and Barack Hussein Obama. It should have been done by Biden. It should have been.
And he's right. There has been nobody who's been tougher on Iran. And there's no doubt about it. President Trump clearly has used force and he's used peace with strength. And he's also looked at other options. He hasn't been this warmonger, but he's also saying, I don't want to put boots on the ground. He's trying to find an exit strategy. Whether he says it or not, the midterms are indeed on the horizon. He did talk about gas prices today and oil prices. The markets clearly love the news that a deal's in sight. We've already seen a drop within the last few days. I mean, it's been pretty dramatic. The markets clearly are happy with this news, and he recognizes that. He recognizes that, a strong America is the key. He brought up that he doesn't want to be like Herbert Hoover and lead to a recession. So there are those factors, but yet is the job unfinished? And is it inevitable that we're going to have to go back and pound Iran? The other thing I worry about, what happens on January 2029? What happens if it's not President Trump in the White House? What happens if it's a Joe Biden acolyte? What happens if it's Gavin Newsom? What happens if it's Pete Buttigieg? What happens if it's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? If that doesn't send chills down your spine, I don't know what does. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show on a very busy news night. Let's go to Robert in Brooklyn on line 2. Go ahead, Robert, your thoughts tonight. On line 1.
Taking my call. Hi,
go ahead,
Rita.
Robert. Thank you.
Rita?
Yep, go ahead. You're on. Go ahead.
Rita?
Yep.
Okay. So, as you said, this is a fund, a $300 billion fund. Now, while the United States is not contributing to it, it does mention it. Now, I would totally resent $300 billion for Iran, which they could use for who knows what. How about giving money to rebuild all the damage that was done to Israel? October 7th, all the attacks that they sustained, the ballistic attacks that they sustained from Iran, and for that matter, the Gulf states, United Arab Emirates, they sustained a lot of attacks. What about reimbursing Israel? And now Qatar also met, President Trump, I think it was yesterday, he met with the Emir of Qatar and they were discussing things, and it came out that Qatar is planning to invest $19 trillion in the United States, not billion, trillion with a T, $19 trillion in the United States. I don't know who's getting the money. There's about 300 million people in the United States. $19 trillion, it comes out to about $63,000 for every person in the United States, assuming there's 300 million people. So I don't know who's getting all the $19 trillion, but Qatar basically owns us. They already own us already. This whole deal was negotiated by Qatar and Pakistan. No wonder they don't ban the Muslim Brotherhood from Qatar and from Turkey. Now, obviously, I'm very concerned also about Trump's tone. He's very disrespectful to Bibi Netanyahu. He refused to share with them a memorandum of understanding. Israel and the United States, they were working hand in hand. Israel actually flew more missions, their pilots, than the United States pilots. We're working hand in hand. This is the way you treat an ally. You don't share the memorandum of understanding with them. He uses the F-bomb, the F-word with Netanyahu. He refers to Netanyahu as difficult. He tells him that, he talks about criticizing them for blowing up apartment buildings.
Yes, and hey, Robert, hold on 1 second. The one thing I want to tell everybody, because I did think that was an interesting moment today, where President Trump said, that some drones fell in the desert by Iran. That were Hezbollah, obviously Iranian proxy, coming in, and he said that the response from Israel was going after an apartment building, and he didn't feel that was appropriate. Now, the one thing, Hezbollah often are in these apartment buildings and elsewhere, and Israel had information that it was a location where there were a whole bunch of Hezbollah base. So, so it's not like it was a random civilian target kind of thing. So I think that's important to clear up. But you're right. I think the president feels a little bit like Netanyahu has been, trigger happy, if you will, a little bit. On the other hand, he also did say, and he's sort of sending a little bit of mixed messages to your point, but he did say, which I was happy to hear, that Israel has a right to defend itself. I think his question is it proportional or not? And that seemed to be his issue, but I agree. I wish I wish he had not said that, Robert. How's that?
Rita, can I just
I'm not talking about it. Hold on a second, Rob. I just want to make sure you understand. I'm not saying about the defending itself. I wish he hadn't said about maybe the response was over the top in a sense from Netanyahu, because no country should deal with what they're dealing with Hezbollah and Hamas and everything.
Well, Rita, yesterday he said that he felt that Syria, the terrorist who's running Syria, the former terrorist, what do you want to call him, he would do a better job handling Lebanon than Israel. But, Rita, I think there's an underlying issue over here. I really think that the disrespect that he's doing to Netanyahu, whether it's using the F word, whether it's calling him difficult, there's an election coming up in Israel. And apparently Trump is trying to get Netanyahu to lose the election because he feels that to have the Abraham Accords, in order to get the Abraham Accords done, there needs to be a quote-unquote resolution with the Palestinian situation. Like Saudi Arabia will not go into the Abraham Accords. The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, his father, the king, is an old-timer. He will not back down until they resolve the quote-unquote Palestinian issue. And because of that, I think President Trump is trying to regime change in Israel. And it's so ironic. He would not regime change in Iran. He deals with the Qatar, Qatar, the Emir of Qatar, who is in bed with Hamas. He deals with Turkey, who vows to destroy Israel. He doesn't talk about regime change there, but he's doing everything to undermine Bibi Netanyahu.
Hold on 1 second. I don't believe he necessarily is trying to create regime change. I think you're jumping too far on that one. I do think he has been more critical of Bibi because he feels that he's trying to get this peace deal, and he feels that Bibi has been over the top. On the other hand, I agree. I think he needs to understand the situation that Israel's in. Obviously, President Trump is juggling a lot of chess pieces, and many more than we're even talking about here. And that's part of it. But I agree with you. I did not like when he was critical of Bibi today and saying the response was over the top. So I'm with you on that part, Robert. 1-800-848-9222, and we'll continue after the break.
The Rita Cosby Show
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Rita Cosby Show.
And we will take your calls when we come back on The Deal.
The Rita Cosby Show
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Rita Cosby is on. The Rita Cosby Show presents Back the Blue.
And this Back the Blue segment coming from Fort Worth, Texas, where a missing child call near a Fort Worth, Texas park, it escalated into a rescue after alert officers heroically lunged into the water and saved a very disoriented and partially submerged child who was beginning to slip beneath the surface. Officers responded to a missing child report near Dream Park, and that happened just after noon. While searching the area, an officer spotted a flash of yellow sticking up near the weeds in the river. When they went to go look, the officer spotted a child was partially submerged in that river water near the shoreline. Yet, as the police approached, the child began moving further into the river and at times going beneath the surface. Really scary. Then one of the officers jumped immediately into the water, pulled the child safely back to the shore before the situation really worsened. Luckily, the child is safe after being evaluated on the scene, and authorities are investigating how the child got into the water to begin with. It's also a big reminder, the police say, that sometimes the difference between tragedy and relief is measured in seconds. Everybody's trying to figure out how the child entered the water and how far the child had wandered from the park, how they actually got in that situation. Very scary. But thanks to our men and women in blue, the child is safe and sound. We're talking about the Iran deal. Everybody is talking about it tonight. President Trump unveiling his 14-point plan. And the first key part is the opening of the Strait of Hormuz. The other big issue with that, you guys, is the minute the opening happens, that will allow for free and unfettered access, also meaning that Iran can be selling its oil. Now, of course, that's only if they behave well, but if they adhere to what President Trump says is obviously the lack of aggression, they work towards giving up the nuclear, all that stuff, then they get right away to be using their ships and transporting their oil and making a lot of money. So what do you think they're going to do with the millions upon millions of dollars they're going to get from oil proceeds suddenly being able to be used? You think they're going to give it to the poor protesters to help them, to help the people of Iran? I don't think so. And that's why this is going to be very tricky. The devil is in the detail. I heard somebody talking tonight, and I thought it was an interesting idea about maybe putting certain funds that they earn into escrow that would be monitored, because you have to check. And even if it's monitored and checked, they're still going to try to find a way to slip out money that was supposed to go to a hospital or supposed to go to whatever the proceeds were designated for, whether it's from this Arab fund or whether it's from their oil proceeds. I don't trust them one bit. And I also do trust President Trump, but I wish he had completed the military action against them. I know there's a lot of people out there that maybe feel differently, and I want to hear from all of you tonight. You are listening to The Rita Cosby Show, and he is taking some heat from the Republican side. Listen to what Trey Gowdy, former federal prosecutor, also former member of Congress, and also friend of Trump, at least he knows him somewhat. He was talking about him, giving him, I think, a quote on his book not that long ago. And he's golfed with President Trump because he's good buddies with Lindsey Graham. Trey Gowdy now hosts a show on Fox, and he came on right after the results of this Memorandum of Understanding came out. And he said he doesn't understand any of it. And he was very disappointed. Listen to this.
Sandra, it's wonderful to see you. I was a little surprised, honestly. I mean, we literally had our foot on their throat, militarily, economically. And I read this MOU, if you will, I guess about 48 hours ago, and I didn't believe it. I thought somebody was spoofing me when I saw it, because I see what we're giving up, and then I see this word downblend. And I'm not the smartest guy in the world, Sandra, but if you can downblend, then you can upblend. And how long would it take Iran to upblend? Because Donald Trump is going to be gone in January 2029, but the so-called supreme leader is not going to be. So here's my question for my fellow citizens. Do you really think Iran has abandoned its nuclear ambition? Do you believe them? What do you think they're going to do with the $300 billion? What are they going to do with the oil revenue? You think they're going to build schools? You think they're going to build, they're going to make women's life better, or are they going to continue to target America and Israel? I happen to think the latter.
And then he went further. A lot of people are playing this today. Here it is.
Yeah. I mean, the economic pain that was inflicted on Iran throughout this, I mean, you're talking about in the hundreds of billions, the hit that they have taken from the freezing of assets, the sanctions that have been put on them and their oil transfers. And as we do look live there at Marine One and the possibility of seeing the president there shortly, you then look at what they're estimating, and this was per this phone call John and I were on a short time ago, that the benefit to Iran is in the single digit billions. You wonder how that can be if we unfreeze assets and lift sanctions and they're able to transfer oil again. I mean, they've got obvious access to a lot of oil, Trey, and that translates to a lot of money, potentially many billions.
They're better off than they were before the hostilities began, and that should not be the consequence of war. When you lose a war, I mean, think about it, Sandra. We went into Iran and rescued a downed pilot. We had total control over that country. We were winning militarily and economically. And when you are in that position, you negotiate from strength. You don't give people money. You don't give them access. What are they going to do with the money, Sandra? I mean, you've been following this issue for a long time, despite your youthful appearance. You know that Iran is going to use this for nefarious purposes. We all know that. The regime has not changed. They're just richer.
From a Republican. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Stan in Forest Hills, line 4. Go ahead, Stan.
Good evening. What a pathetic day this is. It is the most. If Rod Serling could write a Twilight Zone episode on this guy and what he's doing, it would be an Emmy winner.
Who are you talking about? The Iranian regime? Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Trump and what he's doing here.
I knew you'd say that. Go ahead.
Wait a minute. Trey Gowdy ain't my favorite. You had on General Jack, what's his name, that guy?
Jack Keane.
I don't agree with him at all, but he and I agree. I mean, Gowdy and I agree, and I don't agree with these guys. This is a disaster. This isn't a memory. You said they're on their knees. What are you talking about?
Stan,
they're not on their knees.
Stan,
the Russians and the Chinese.
I did not say that. Don't you dare put words in my mouth. I did not say that.
I didn't.
No, I didn't, Stan. What I did,
Stan, they're on their knees
Stan,
now.
Take the wax out of your ears and listen. Here's what President Trump has done. He has gone into Iran like no American president ever had. He went and bombed. He bombed them a year ago. Then he has sent a complete decimation of their Navy, of their Air Force. I mean, he has definitely pummeled them. There is no question about it. Are they fanatics and are they zealots? And do I believe, like Jack Keane, and this may be your aspect, I want to hear this, Jack Keane believes we should have finished the remaining 20%. He always said there was about a 25% of the target list. Probably less now because that was before the sort of last pounding that we did. Remember the 2 nights of pounding that we really did on Iran. So, say, I'm just estimating, guys, say it's 17, 18% or 15% that's left. Whatever it is, I still think we should have done the other 15. I'm hardcore. I absolutely believe we should have. That's my personal belief. The problem is you are dealing with zealots, and zealots will let the fire go all around them in brimstone.
Rita, you just said it.
But you're sitting here making it sound like President Trump did nothing, and that's a mistake, Stan.
Rita,
that's a mistake. You know darn well, Stan. You know darn well. You won't even give him credit for the most extraordinary move of any American president.
Stop talking about what he did. What is the result, Rita? They are not surrendering. He's going to negotiate a letter of understanding. There should be surrender terms. Destroy them. What is this? This is not like they said it. I didn't say it. These are Republicans. What is he doing? He's negotiating understanding. He's going to give them money. Like, they're right. What do you think they're laughing? This isn't any time. You fight a war to win. I'm the liberal on this program, and I'm telling you, you fight and destroy your enemy. Then we can stand up and you can't say he's doing this and that. He's not doing anything.
Stan, that is incorrect. That's incorrect. He has at least started the process. Now here's where I hearten in a heartening way of what he has said. I will tell you, I don't like any money going to them. I think the money that's frozen, his contention is the money that's frozen in the United States, that's Iranian money, is Iranian money. And he feels that no country would ever do business with him if he didn't allow their money that was invested, that it would have a rippling effect. I actually wish there was no money. I wish there was no Arab money going to any reconstruction. So I will agree with you on that, Stan. I feel very strongly about this. The Iranians, I think, are an enormous grave threat, and President Trump does understand that aspect. So he is clear, and he's not naive to what's going on. What he's trying to do is balance a lot of pieces to this puzzle. The one thing I do hearten back to is the fact that he said the U.S. military is not going anywhere. that short term, he's going to open the Strait of Hormuz. But if they start sending drones out the first day or two, and it's significant, he's going to really pound them into submission. And I think if they really cross the line, which quite frankly, I expect they will, I will be stunned if they do not, Stan. And I agree with you on that, that these people are zealots, they're fanatics. And I think that they will try to push and shove. And they might even when they're in a pile of rubble, too, because that's what zealots and fanatics do. But I do believe that they're going to cross the line. And I believe he will pound them into smithereens at that point because he's not going to want to look like they got the better of him. And they did not. And that to me, at least, is heartening. And it's a lot more than any American president has done. Do I wish it was more at this moment? Yes, there is no doubt. I wish they were pounded. And I wish that there was clear regime change. I wish the Ayatollah, I wish the Supreme Leader and all his relatives and all the IRGC were in one little pile of dust. That's what I think. Your thoughts, Dan?
Well, you keep talking about he's the only president who does. If you're going to do it, wait a minute. If you're going to do it, do it. Don't do it half-assed. Don't say, I'm going to stop and we'll do a letter of understanding. Make them surrender. You said on there, make them beg to stop the bombing. They're not going to, Rita. They're laughing. You got the Russians and the Chinese who helped in this situation, right? I think you mentioned it.
He said he felt that they stood back, which was a good thing, and didn't get involved.
Them, Rita. You know it, and they will supply this situation. They'll supply them secretly and so forth. You know it. They're going to do it. And the North Koreans, too.
And by the way, they probably have been. President Trump, by the way, President Trump did allude to that they've done some. But he said he expected them to do a whole heck of a lot more, and they did not. And that is probably absolutely correct. The problem I have, Stan, with what you're saying is you will give him no credit, and that's not correct.
Wait a minute, again, you don't listen. I said if he gets the surrender, I will give him 100% credit.
Stan, imagine if Joe Biden.
I'd give him 100%
imagine if Joe Biden was president at this moment. They would have a nuclear weapon. They would have a nuclear weapon, and they would have used it.
Anymore. You keep doing that. You can't use that anymore.
Because it's the fact. What you want? Kamala Harris? You want Kamala Harris at the helm of this? Shame on you, Stan. Shame on you. You care about Israel. I don't want to hear about
them. He's running the show, and he's not doing it correctly.
Stan?
Go ahead.
So I guess Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg would really be on.
Who's running the show,
Rita? I know, because
Donald
you know
Trump.
what, Stan? Thank goodness it's Donald Trump, and that's the bottom line, Stan. Thank goodness it's him, because if you had some of those numbnuts, can you imagine where we'd be right now? Can you imagine if it was Joe Biden or if it was Barack Obama or it was Kamala Harris or any of these other folks? Thank God he's at least had the courage, and he's gone so much further than any American president has ever dared to do it. He hasn't even just dared, he's done it. And I believe he will pound them again if they need to do it. It's a tricky thing, Stan. It's not perfect, and I definitely will give you that. But it's a lot more perfect than who I just mentioned. I can't even imagine. America should be thankful, at least it's President Trump at this moment. It's by far better than anything we would have gotten under those others. And you know it, and I know it, Stan. Stan, good to talk to you. We'll continue your calls. Boy, after that, 1-800-848-9222.
The Rita Cosby Show
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This is the Rita Cosby Show. Breaking news.
And this just in, guys, on the Rita Cosby Show. The New York Knicks, of course, are going to have a big ticker tape parade in New York tomorrow. They're going to make history as the first NBA team that's going to visit the Trump White House. They will be the first NBA team that has visited during either of Trump's terms. Now, of course, James Dolan, who owns the Knicks, is good friends, of course, with President Trump. We know President Trump went to one of the NBA finals, remember, at MSG. And James Dolan confirmed today, he said, we did receive an invitation from the White House. We accepted. We still have to figure out all the details. I invited the president to come to the game. He's a friend. I've known him for 30 years. And I'm very proud to bring the team to the White House. So they have officially accepted the invitation. And the New York Knicks not only will get a great ticker tape parade, which is going to be so cool to watch tomorrow, but also they will be going to the White House and be celebrated there with President Trump. So that's beautiful. They deserve it. My God. As you guys know, I haven't hit it. I have been definitely rooting for the Knicks on so many levels. And a number of the players, by the way, threw out ceremonial first pitches before the Yankees game. They've been in New York. So they're getting feted everywhere. They are like the big, big celebrities. And boy, do they deserve it. They gave us, I think, one of the most NBA final games that I have ever seen. My heart was pounding and they were just amazing. And I can't wait to see New York, like showing lots of love for them and the whole country and the world tomorrow. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Dom in Minnesota on line 5. Go ahead, Dom, your thoughts.
Rita, sadly, I have to disagree with you a little bit because...
Wait, you're breaking up, Dom. You're breaking up. Go ahead and repeat it.
Is this better?
Yep, much better. Go ahead.
Okay, so I have to sadly disagree with you a little bit because of 14.
Wait, Dom, you're breaking up again. Dom, call us back. Call us back. Get a better line and call us back, Dom. We always love hearing from you. Let's go to Gail in Pennsylvania. Line 4. Gail, give me a good phone, please.
Hi, Rita. Hi.
What do you think, Gail?
I think that President Trump had no good options. He had either don't go in at all, go for all-out regime change because of how stubborn they are, or do what he did by containing them. So he achieved the best of those options, and by containing them, it seems to me it matched his goal. He didn't want them to get these nuclear missiles, and if he waited any longer, it might have been impossible. They might have had it, and we couldn't contain them. So I'm pleased. I really am. People are, mad he didn't bomb them more, but, he wasn't going to change that regime easily. It would have meant a lot of death and destruction. And I think he's actually in communication with the Shah, from what I could.
No doubt. By the way, Gail, you reminded me the one thing that I was concerned, and I thought of today when I was watching the president, and I love the president. I know him. I admire him. I love him. But I did think about the Iranian protesters. What are they thinking tonight? What do you think?
I think they're happy because as soon as they, get guns and arms, they probably can, achieve a lot more now than they had when they were on the verge of having nukes and had all those missiles.
That's a great point. Gail, you're absolutely right. I mean, it is definitely a much more debilitated Iranian regime. There's no doubt. And we do have to figure out a way to empower those protesters, those heroic citizens, and get the weapons to them at the right moment. And maybe some other forces come in. Maybe the Kurds will finally help. Who knows?
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?